I see him, kid. Breathe. Stay behind me.
Don't let him go!
What the hell's going on over there?
Nobody leaves. Not tonight.
Calm down. Who? Where is he? Tell me quick. Over there. My mom's ex-boyfriend. He won't stop. Please, you've got to save my mom. A little girl ran to the bikers crying. They're beating my mama. What the bikers did left everyone speechless. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, subscribe to Black Silent Voices for more inspiring content. Sometimes the bravest cry for help breaks through the quietest morning. And what starts as breakfast between strangers ends as a rescue that changes lives, proving that heroes answer calls they never thought they'd receive. Sally's roadside diner sat on Highway 40 like a piece of American history. Its red checkered tablecloths and chrome stools marked a place where truckers, travelers, and locals gathered over coffee and real food. On this Saturday morning, 8 members of the Iron Brotherhood MC took up the back corner booth. Their leather vests and road-worn faces were a familiar sight to Sally, who'd served them for 15 years without any trouble. Mason Cole, the club's sergeant-at-arms, was halfway through his pancakes when the diner's bell rang, not with the usual lazy sound of customers, but with violent force as a small figure burst through the door. A girl, maybe 7 years old, wearing a red dress now torn and dirty, her face streaked with tears and dirt, her bare feet bleeding from running across gravel, her voice a desperate scream that stopped every conversation. Please help, they're beating my mama. Hannah's thoughts raced with pure fear. When bad men hurt mama in the parking lot and nobody stops them, you run to the biggest, scariest people you can find, because maybe scary means strong enough to make it stop. She'd seen the motorcycles through the diner window, remembered Mama saying bikers helped people sometimes, and made a choice born of desperation. Trust strangers or watch Mama die. Mason dropped his fork. 8. Bikers stood as one. The diner froze, other customers staring, unsure, scared. Bikers had reputations, violence, danger, trouble. But Hannah ran straight to Mason, grabbing his leather vest with small, desperate hands. Please, mister, he's killing her out there. She pointed to the parking lot. Mama's ex-boyfriend. He found us. Please. Mason looked at his brothers. No words needed. They'd taken an oath. Protect the innocent, especially kids. Show us, Mason said, already moving. Morning, 9:35. The scene they found. Carla Matthews in the parking lot between 2 cars being beaten by a man twice her size. Her ex-boyfriend, Derek Walsh, who'd been stalking her for 3 months since she'd left their abusive relationship. His fists rained down while Carla tried desperately to shield herself, too weak to fight back, too alone to escape. "Derek, stop!" Hannah screamed from behind the bikers. Derek looked up, saw 8 leather-clad men coming, and sneered. "Mind your own business. This is between me and my woman." "She's not your woman," Mason said calmly, moving between Derek and Carla. "And you just made it our business when her kid came crying for help." Derek was big, 6'3", 240, built like someone who used size to scare people. "You bikers think you're tough. I'll take all 8 of you." Mason didn't let him finish. One punch, clean, perfect. Derek dropped like a bag of concrete. The other bikers moved fast. 2 helped Carla to her feet, checking her injuries. 1 called 911. 3 held Derek, who was awake but dazed. Mason knelt to Hannah's level. "You okay, kid?" Hannah nodded, tears streaming. "Is Mama okay?" "She's hurt, but she's alive. You saved her, you know that? You were brave enough to ask for help." 9:38. First aid. Carla was awake but barely. Black eyes swelling, lips split, ribs likely cracked from kicks. The bikers were surprising. Eyed gentle, using napkins from the diner as makeshift bandages, keeping her talking to prevent shock. "Hannah," Carla gasped. "Where's Hannah?" "Right here, Mama," Hannah said, holding her mother's hand. The bikers stopped him. "You're safe." Carla looked at Mason through her one good eye. "Thank you." "He would have if you hadn't." "Don't think about that," Mason said. "Think about staying awake until the ambulance gets here." 9:42. Police and paramedics. Sheriff Tom Bradley arrived with sirens blaring, followed by an ambulance. Bradley knew the Iron Brotherhood. They'd done charity rides with the department, helped with toy drives, never caused trouble in his area. "Mason," Bradley greeted, looking at the scene. "What happened?" "Little girl ran into Sally's crying for help. We found her mama being beaten in the parking lot. We stopped the attacker. He's over there." Bradley looked at Derek, now sitting on the curb, cuffed by his deputy. Derek Walsh. We've had multiple restraining order violations on file. Carla pressed charges twice. He kept finding her. Not anymore, Mason said quietly. This time there are 8 witnesses and assault charges that'll stick. Paramedics loaded Carla onto a stretcher. Hannah climbed in beside her, refusing to let go of her mother's hand. Will you come check on us? Hannah asked Mason, her small voice barely heard over the ambulance engine. Mason nodded. Promise, kid. We'll make sure you're both safe. Day 1, hospital. Mason and 2 brothers visited the hospital that evening, found Carla in a room with Hannah curled beside her on the narrow bed, both asleep. The first rest either had gotten in months, free from fear for the first time. A nurse, Jennifer, came over quietly. You the bikers who saved her? We helped, Mason said, uncomfortable with hero labels. She told me everything. That monster had been hunting her for 3 months. She'd moved towns twice, changed jobs. He kept finding her. Jennifer's voice hardened. If that little girl hadn't found you, she did, Mason saw. Aid. That's what matters. When Carla woke, she started crying again, not from pain, but relief. I don't know how to thank you. We have nothing. I'm broke from running. I don't even know where we'll go after this. He knows every shelter, every friend. Mason exchanged glances with his brothers. We'll figure something out. Nobody's going to hurt you or Hannah again. Day 2, club meeting. The Iron Brotherhood called an emergency meeting. 20 riders showed up. Word had spread about the parking lot rescue. Carla Matthews and her daughter need protection, Mason explained. Ex-boyfriend's in jail now, but he'll make bail eventually. She's got no money, no safe place, no support system. What are you proposing? Asked the club president, a Vietnam vet named Bull. Club protection. We put her up somewhere safe, provide security, help her get back on her feet. One member objected. We're not a charity, Mason. We got our own families. That little girl ran to us for help, Mason interrupted. Chose us when she had nothing. We answered. Can't walk away now. Bull considered. The club had a code. Protect the vulnerable, especially kids and women leaving abuse. Motion passes. Mason, you're in charge of this. Figure out logistics. Day 3 to 7. Community response. The rescue went local news viral. Bikers save woman from brutal assault ran on every station. The diner's security footage showed Hannah running in. The bikers' immediate response. Their gentle care for Carla. Public opinion shifted. These weren't the dangerous criminal stereotype painted. They were men who'd stopped for breakfast and ended up saving lives. Sally, the diner owner, started a fundraiser, raised $15,000 in 1 week, enough for first and last month's rent, security deposit, furniture for Carla and Hannah's fresh start. The Iron Brotherhood found Carla an apartment in a secure building across town, Ince. Talled extra locks gave her emergency contacts, 20 bikers who'd respond if Derek or anyone else threatened her. Hannah drew pictures for all the bikers, crayoned images of motorcycles and stick-figure heroes. She gave Masons to him personally. A big man in black helping a little girl in a red dress with "thank you" spelled in uneven letters across the top. Mason, a man who'd seen combat, prison, and decades on the road, felt his eyes sting. This is going on my fridge, kid. Week 2, Derek's bail. Derek made bail as expected, but when he tried to find Carla, he hit walls. New address unlisted. New job at a company owned by a Brotherhood member. Security systems he couldn't break. And 40 bikers who made it clear, approach Carla or Hannah again. Face consequences beyond legal. Derek filed a restraining order violation claiming the bikers harassed him. Sheriff Bradley laughed it off. You beat a woman in a parking lot in front of witnesses. The bikers stopped you. That's not harassment. That's civic duty. Derek left town within a month, last spotted 2 states away, finally understanding Carla was untouchable now. Week 4, new beginning. Carla got a job as a waitress, ironically, at Sally's diner, where her salvation had begun. Sally, impressed by Carla's strength, paid her fairly and provided flexible hours for Hannah's school schedule. Hannah started 2nd grade at a school near their new apartment. The Iron Brotherhood escorted her on the first day, not aggressively, just 8 bikes forming a protective barrier that announced to any potential threat, "This child is protected." The other kids thought it was the coolest thing ever. Hannah beamed with pride. Month 2, Derek returns. Sheriff Bradley called Mason at 11 p.m. Derek's back. spotted at a gas station 10 miles from Carla's apartment. We're trying to locate him, but he's off-grid. No phone, no credit cards, nothing to track. Mason's blood ran cold. He's coming for them. We'll patrol her building. Not enough. Mason Ake hung up immediately, calling his brothers. 20 bikes roared through the night, coming together at Carla's apartment building. They found her and Hannah safe for now, but terrified after Bradley's warning call. "He won't stop," Carla said, voice shaking. "He told me once, if he couldn't have me, nobody could. He meant it." Hannah clung to her mother, the brave little girl from the diner, reduced to a trembling child by the return of her nightmare. 11:30 p.m. The watch. 4 bikers stood outside Carla's apartment door. 4 more patrolled the parking lot. The rest circled the neighborhood in shifts, eyes scanning for Derek's truck, a black Ford F-150 with Montana plates. Hours passed. Midnight. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. At 2:37 a.m., one biker spotted it. Derek's truck, lights off, creeping down the side street. "Target spotted," he radioed. Moving toward the building, Mason positioned bikers strategically. 4 at the building entrance, 4 at the parking lot exits, the rest closing in on Derek's position, a net tightening around a predator who'd finally found his prey. Derek parked 2 blocks away, came forward on foot, carrying something. As he got closer, Mason saw it, a crowbar and a container of gasoline. He was planning to force entry and set the apartment on fire. 2:45 a.m., the intervention. "Derek Walsh," Mason said, stepping into his path with 7 brothers behind him. "Stop right there." Derek froze, then sneered. "You can't be here all the time. I'll wait. I'm patient." "You're not waiting anywhere," Mason said. "You're leaving tonight for good or what? You'll beat me up? Call the cops?" "I've been beaten. I've been arrested. Doesn't matter. She's mine." "She was never yours," Mason corrected. "And you just showed up with gasoline and a crowbar outside her building. That's attempted arson, attempted murder, multiple felonies." Sheriff Bradley's patrol car pulled up. Mason had called him the moment Derek was spotted. Officers surrounded Derek, weapons drawn. "Drop the crowbar in the gas," Bradley ordered. Derek looked around. 8 bikers, 4 cops, no escape. He dropped both, but his eyes promised violence. "This isn't over." "Yeah," Mason said quietly. "It is." 2:50 a.m. The arrest. Derek was arrested for stalking, attempted arson, violation of restraining orders, and possession of weapons with intent to harm. This time, no bail. This time, the judge, a woman who'd survived domestic violence herself, threw the book at him. 10 years minimum, federal prison, out of state, no early release. When Mason told Carla the next morning, she collapsed in relief. Hannah, understanding what it meant, asked one question: "Is the bad man gone forever?" "Forever," Mason promised. Month 3, healing. With Derek permanently removed, Carla and Hannah began truly healing, not just from physical wounds, but from years of psychological torture. Carla attended therapy provided by a nonprofit the Brotherhood supported. Hannah joined a kids support group for children of domestic violence. Both slowly learned to breathe without fear. The Iron Brotherhood didn't hover. They checked in weekly, provided security when needed, but gave space for Carla and Hannah to rebuild independence. This wasn't about creating dependence. It was about providing safety until they could stand on their own. Month 4, community integration. Sally's Diner became a second home for Carla and Hannah. The regulars, truckers, locals, even the bikers treated them like family. Tips were generous. Conversations were kind. Nobody judged. Hannah would do homework in the back booth while Carla worked shifts. The Brotherhood members would help her with math problems, tell cleaned-up road stories, teach her about motorcycles in age-appropriate ways. One Saturday, Hannah asked Mason, "Can girls be bikers too?" "Absolutely," Mason said. "Some of the toughest riders I know are women." Hannah. His eyes lit up. "When I grow up, I want to be a biker who helps people like you." Mason felt something in his chest he hadn't felt in years. Purpose that went beyond leather and engines and brotherhood. He'd saved a life, sure, but more than that, he'd given a kid hope that heroes existed. Month 6, the ceremony. The Iron Brotherhood organized a fundraiser ride with proceeds going to domestic violence shelters and legal aid for survivors. 500 riders showed up from 3 states, creating a thunderous parade through town that raised $75,000. At the ceremony afterward, Carla spoke publicly for the first time. 6 months ago, my daughter ran into a diner begging strangers for help. Those strangers, these bikers, didn't hesitate. They saved my life. They protected my daughter. They gave us a chance to rebuild. She looked at Mason standing with his brothers. People see leather and assume danger, but I see leather and remember the day danger wore a familiar face, and strangers in leather became my salvation. Hannah stepped forward, holding a large frame, a drawing, an updated version of her earlier crayon art, now painted with care and detail. It showed 8 bikers surrounding a woman and child, shields against darkness, with text reading, "Sometimes heroes ride Harleys." She presented it to Mason, "For your clubhouse, so everyone remembers." The crowd, bikers, survivors, community members erupted in applause. Mason knelt, accepting the gift, then pulled Hannah into a hug. "You were the hero, kid. You ran for help when it mattered most. That's courage." 1 year later, full circle, Carla became a domestic violence advocate, working with the same nonprofits the Brotherhood supported. Hannah thrived in school, excelling in art and writing, often creating pieces about the day the bikers saved us. The Iron Brotherhood expanded their community protection program, partnering with shelters, providing escorts for women fleeing abuse, teaching self-defense classes. On the anniversary of the diner rescue, Sally hosted a celebration. Carla, Hannah, the Brotherhood, Sheriff Bradley, and dozens of community members gathered not to celebrate violence, but to celebrate the power of answering a cry for help. Hannah, now 8, stood at the microphone. "A year ago, I was scared. I ran into this diner crying. I didn't know if anyone would help, but Mr. Mason and his friends did. They taught me that family isn't just blood. It's who shows up when you need them." She looked at Mason. "Thank you for showing up." Sometimes the bravest cry for help breaks through the quietest morning, and what starts as breakfast between strangers ends as a rescue that changes lives, proving that heroes answer calls they never thought they'd receive. Hannah's drawing hung in the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse, reminding everyone that their mission went beyond rides and brotherhood to protecting the vulnerable. The club's domestic violence protection program became a model nationwide, partnering with law enforcement and nonprofits to create safe corridors for survivors escaping abuse. Mason became an unlikely advocate, speaking at community events about bystander intervention and breaking stereotypes. His message, "We're all capable of being heroes. You just have to answer when someone asks for help." Carla rebuilt her life completely. New career in victim advocacy, safe home, thriving daughter. Derek remained in federal prison. Appeal denied. A threat neutralized permanently. At Hannah's high school graduation years later, Mason sat in the front row beside Carla. Hannah's valedictorian speech ended. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather and answer when a little girl in a red dress asks them to save her mama. The photo of that morning, Hannah running into Sally's diner, became an iconic image of community courage and unexpected heroism.